fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson! Anderson's up to
Oh my God!
Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Yeah, so we're using a VRS here. We have a wheel adapter right here, so I'm using the rim I used last year. But the motor right here produces a lot of power, a lot of precision, and it helps me, just feel the car more, feel the car a lot quicker. Especially, this week we're at Sonoma. I can feel it, when it hits the curbs. Any little change in the car, the wheel reacts a lot quicker than your typical gear-driven or belt-driven wheel. For example, if you're on oval and the rear tires break loose, force feedback on it corrects a lot quicker than your typical wheels. There's no resistance pretty much as far as being able to make quick corrections on the wheel. So all that, paired with how precise the wheel itself is, it makes it to where it helps you as a driver, to find that extra hundredth or thousandths of a second. So when you're getting a direct drive wheel, especially the VRS wheel, it's heavy duty. It's got good weight to it, it's not a plastic toy. It feels like you can really beat up on it. A lot of people have issues with their plastic gear-driven wheels just kind of breaking after a couple years. This thing just feels like it can go forever. The forces are really strong where if you might have to let go of the wheel if you get into the wall. You can adjust all that with the settings on it and stuff, but the wheel itself doesn't play around. It's got way more strength than you could ever need, and that's what makes it good, that you can adjust that down to whatever the car needs. So initially you'll be able to get the controller box and the motor together, and eventually you will be able to add a rim onto that option. They'll also be including a button plate on it to put on the rim to have all sorts of different buttons and functionality. Also, pedals are coming, so that's a pretty big deal as well. Hasn't been covered too much, but the goal is to also have pedals to go along with the Direct Force Pro. So that's pretty exciting. The wheel feels good. It feels very much like a real world steering wheel. You just kind of feel like what you would imagine the car to feel like. A real steering wheel in a car is very smooth, it's very direct, very quick, and that's what this wheel feels like.
It is time to kick off the biggest weekend of the Australian sim racing year. The V8SCOPS Bathurst 1000 takes place this Sunday. But of course, we have to start off with the support series, the flat sixes for two 100-kilometre sprints here at the Mount Panorama circuit. Can't wait to see these final few broadcasted races for the Porsche 911 991 GT3 Cup car. Recently, of course, updated to current spec on the iRacing service, but the old car is still here, and the Racing Sims Support Series drivers will be running it one final time here at Mount Panorama. I'm Reese Gardner. Joining me in the commentary box for this one is Ryan Jones, and it's such an honour to be back in the booth with you, Ryan, at one of the greatest circuits in the world.
We love coming to Bathurst, don't we? And we love coming here for the Bathurst 1000. And we kick it off. The big weekend with the flat sixes. There's no other support categories, I think, that would be more fitting to help get this weekend started And then the flat sixes tonight, the V8s tomorrow for a 250-kilometer enduro. And then tomorrow evening, 60 minutes of qualifying, and then a top 15 shootout with a Legends race squeezed in the middle of that as well. And then Sunday, it's the big day, 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. The broadcast kicks off, and midday, the green flag drops on 161 laps of racing for 50 cars around this 6.21 kilometer racetrack set on Mount Panorama.
Yeah, it's going to be a huge weekend, this is, and it's the same every year. It's a big old party here in the AusNZ sim racing community, and what a place to do it. The Mount Panorama circuit, just outside Bathurst, New South Wales, Australia. The hill that this track is situated on was called Walu by the indigenous peoples of the area. It's where they would go up to the top and look out over the plains just past the Blue Mountains. And what a brilliant track this is, built in 1938. Interesting story behind its creation as well, built during the Great Depression and only had one change to the layout in all that time it's existed. The chase added in 1987, but everywhere else around the track, aside from widening walls and various other safety standards, what rudimentary ones can be applied to a track like this, Ryan, it has stayed the same as it's always been, and that's what we like to see.
It is every bit as fearsome as it has always been since 1938. Not far away from 100 years, is it? In only about 15 we'll be there. It'll be quite a celebration, won't it? But it very much feels like a street circuit around this track. There's concrete everywhere you look. You can ill afford a mistake. And the run from Griffin's Bend to Forest Elbow is one of the trickiest in the world. You cannot afford to put a wheel off the racing line, or there is a very high chance you will find yourself buried in the concrete quicker than you can blink. Right now, though, qualifying has just got itself underway. 30 minutes for these drivers to set themselves a lap time, and then they will head into a pair of 100-kilometer races. No pit stops required, and a progressive grid, so wherever they finish in race 1, they will start for race 2, and 100 kilometers equates to 16 laps.
Yeah, that is basically a tenth of a Bathurst 1000 distance that these guys will be completing in each race tonight. So if there are any drivers in this field that are going to be competing this weekend in the 1000, which I'm sure there are at least a few, they will certainly have great value applied to this track time that they are gaining in this session now. Riley Preston, the most consistent performer across the season so far. Thomas Hinds has been pressuring him in recent races for the championship lead, and Matt Danson for Altus Esports taking a win at Imola in the last round of the flat sixes. Riley's got plenty of work to do still to try and secure this title for Evolution Racing Team, but on a hot lap at the moment, descending down through the S's, trying his best to stay off the curbs, maybe a slight puff from the tyre as he locked up going into the dipper. Riley Preston already pushing here in the early stages of this session. And it's a nice cool track out there for the drivers, Ryan, which means they're going to be able to get quite a bit of pace out of these Porsche 911s. Only 24 degrees out there on track.
Yeah, that will certainly aid them in their hunt for grip. They won't be finding too much wheel spin out of these corners. Of course, there is still a lot of power going through the rear wheels of these Type 991 911 GT3 Cup cars, so they'll have to be a little bit careful, but as we see Preston out of the chase, he's able to apply the power so smoothly without any hint of breaking traction, and heading towards the last corner now. See what sort of lap time Preston can do and what the marker will be for the rest of the field. He crosses the line. It's a 2-minute 4.586. It's a pretty good lap time. It's right there with the quickest we saw in practice, and Kobe Jones behind him does a 2-minute 4.7. Kobe, he was the fastest driver in practice by quite a bit, wasn't he? the driver of the number 25, someone we're going to have to watch out for throughout this evening. But here comes John Courtney in the Racing Sims KRF number 65. What did he do? 209.252.
Yes, and we're expecting the field to be running 204s to 209s here in qualifying. Interesting to note your point about the practice session times. Kobe, yes, was the fastest on a 204.206, but Riley Preston, right at the end of the session, managed to get within 0.003 of his time. So it's going to be very tight competition up the front as we check out Brett Hender of Fusion Sim Racing. There's two Fusion Sim Racing drivers here in the session tonight. Scott Stevens is also going to be joining Brett here. And Brett, of course, deciding to abandon that one. Looks like he's picked up some damage across the top, so hopefully he'll be able to get back out there and set a representative time. It seems that just under half the field have yet to set times in this session. Simon Mazzomo is one of them, and just coming over the rise here out of the chase, down into Murray's, the final corner here at Bathurst. Much more challenging than it looks from the air. You can see the camber in the road that Mazzomo's having to deal with, and looks like this is going to be the start of a hot lap here for Simon down into Hell Corner now. Very difficult to hook up the apex through here, particularly in these Porsches. They got a flat six engine hanging out way past the rear axle, so it's very important that you get the weight onto the fronts under braking and turn in, as there is a problem there for Lockie Mansell, who has decided to jump in for a drive here tonight. We'll be speaking to him in between the races, but not having the best of times out there on track, and it's a very awkward spot to be stuck.
Yeah, that's a really poor spot to be stuck on the racetrack, and the issue he's having here is there is no escape rule, and I think at this point he just
shouldn't be able to get it going.
No, I think the steering's broken in that car. He can't get it turned around.
It's a very slow and arduous process, and it's
There we go.
all right, he's managed to get it going, fortunately for Riley Preston, because just coming up to the part of the circuit now where Mansell was spun.
Scott Stevens, he's the unfortunate driver that just clipped the back of Lockie's car as it came around the cutting. He was unsighted there by that commentating for a cause livery machine, and so he's now...
Oh dear.
Yeah, Lockie's just been given the all clear to escape back to pit lane, and he's done that.
Yeah, well, just before that, Riley Preston, who we were riding on board with, ended up collecting Lockie out of, I think, coming into Reed Park. So, not the best of times out there in the qualifying session at the moment. A few drivers now having to make it back to the pits and go out for another run, which might mess up their projected qualifying programs. The no escape rule makes these drivers approach this session like they would a real life session. You got to account for outlaps and inlaps when trying to get your runs in before the time runs out. Kobe Jones, meanwhile, well, he's gone up to P3 so far, with Danson splitting he and Preston, and looks to me like Kobe on a flyer at the moment. He's looking very good to keep that competition nice and close up at the front. Mazzomo, meanwhile, has set a lap, a 2:02.6, and that puts him into 8th position so far. Good stuff from him. Just coming up to a little bit of traffic on this lap here. And just making his way past nice and cleanly. Hopefully that we won't see any more big incidents here in the qualifying session, so everyone can set a reasonable time onto the grid.
It was just really unfortunate. The place that Lachlan spun was unsighted for everyone coming around, and obviously he wanted to get back to pit lane without towing. And then he was just trying to glip back, but he was on the racing line. He should have sort of stayed off the line. And because he was on the racing line, Preston's come blazing around the corner and had to get hard on the brakes, but couldn't slow down in time and had gone into his left rear. But luckily, they've all made it back to pit lane. They've all gotten a spare car out of the truck, and they're back out on the racetrack now. Hopefully, as you say, they can all keep it out of the wall and try to get going for some decent lap times, as Mazzomo continues to work his way down the mountain, heading towards the chase now. Braking just before the 150-meter board. And through the chase, opting not to use that inside curb. Can unsettle the car there and spit you off into the grass on the outside. So he drives around it at the final corner. You definitely don't want to hit that curb as well. It is just as bad, if not worse. And it's a 5.8 from Mizomo. That's a good lap. Moves him up the order. Now he's P8.
So the same position he was in when I last updated his position. Unfortunately, not quite enough of an improvement to move up the order, but still a good lap there for Simon Mizomo. He'll be able to extract a little bit more pace towards the end of the session, I'm sure. The number 15, meanwhile, of Isaac Edwards coming into the chase. Isaac is down in 15th at the moment. We'll see if he can improve on this 209.234. Isaac's had a bit of a patchy season in the flat sixes. He's been on for some good results and certainly has taken advantage of the inverted grid that we've had at a couple of races. But with a 207.5, that vaults him up to P13. So not too bad there from Isaac. See what else he can do here in the final 20 minutes. We are past a third time here. And this is another driver we should probably watch out for, Ryan. Cameron Dance in the number 6. He's gone P4 so far, and we know how quick he is.
Yeah, very versatile driver. Very good at extracting the maximum from a car. And very good as well at just driving it to its limit. And being consistent at that. We just saw him get out of the way of Mizomo and Stevens through Skyline. Really the only place you can effectively get out of the way without holding drivers up. And it looks like Stevens is just going to lift off now on Conrad, and Dance will go back by him. Mizomo continuing to push on though. Dance, if he can find half a second, he will vault himself to the top of the order. But how does he find that though? Maybe a bit of a slipstream off his teammate Simon Mizomo. If they want to work together, they could certainly try to execute that. Mizomo coming into the pits though, so Dance will have to do this lap on his lonesome. Let's follow this lap with Cameron Dance. Let's go on board and ride at home with the Kiwi. TechSense, Fifth Star Motorsport. He comes into turn number 1, getting it turned. The power out of that corner, very critical. One of the crucial acceleration zones on the circuit race, because it leads onto the long mountain straight, and you've got a long time to think about your braking point for Griffin's Bend.
Yeah, which is a bit later than it initially appears. You're braking past the 100-meter marker at that access road on the left, and the banking of this corner, you've got to be so careful to keep it tight but not use too much of the curb. You get spit out wide through there. That is your lap over. Same thing here at the cutting. You've got to keep it as tight as you possibly can without hitting the wall on the inside. There's a bump right here. Cameron just correcting the steering over it, and then into the cascading section here. The left-handers across the top, down through Metal Grate, flat out, and then just a lift here across the hill, maybe a tap of the brakes, and down into McPhillamy Park. A spectacular corner, just touch the curb there on the exit, and then down here into the S's, Ryan. You're braking all the way down the hill, and it's very easy for the car to get unsettled.
Benjamin Faulkner got out of the way. Oh no, there was a car on the inside. That was Sean Thompson, and Dance had no idea that car was there.
Oh my god.
That was completely unsighted for Cameron Dance.
Oh.
Huge damage to that number 6 car. And he will try to limp back to pit lane. You see him on the radio to his teammate there, Mizomo. That was Sean Thompson, stuck on the inside. At the exit of the S's, that car is an absolute mess. We'll get a virtual racing school replay. I mentioned Faulkner getting out of the way at the start of the S's. That was fantastic. Great awareness from him not to hold Dance up. That is how Thompson ended up where he was. Lost it coming out of the dipper.
Wait for it. Wait for it. Where's Cameron? Right there. And,
just flipped him.
Oh, man. It's like, yeah, Thompson was barely affected at all by that hit. Of course, he was affected by the hit with the wall, but yeah, Cameron goodness me. Didn't take long for us to have our first heart attack of the weekend, and yeah, once he was hit wide into the wall and that secondary damage when he spun into Forest Elbow, that car absolutely trashed, and fortunately he has been able to make it back to the pits, so we will see more of Cameron Danson this session, but goodness me, he had a rough ride down the hill.
That was quite the lap to go on board with there, as he brings it through the pit entrance, which is of course a chicane here at Mount Panorama, and a very tricky one to get right at racing speed. Luckily, none of them will have to do that today, but across this weekend, we'll see that plenty of times. Riley Preston, currently fastest by only 9/1000ths of a second over Matt Danson, trying to extend that gap at the top. A 2:04.586 is current fastest, and he's broken really deep there into the chase. Can he get it pulled up? Yes, he can. Doesn't even need second gear. He keeps it in third. Big slide on the exit, though, and he's into the grass. That's a 1X, and lap invalidated. Straight back into the pits for a fresh set of boots and probably some more fuel. I dare say the cars at this point are fueled for one push lap, and that's it.
Yeah, indeed, as it looks like that's Kobe Jones who's gone to P1, 2:04.503. That is a fantastic time there from Kobe in this qualifying session, 800ths ahead of Riley Preston, and that's going to be significant here, right in the middle phase of the session. It's another yardstick for Riley Preston, Matt Danson and Cameron Dance to try and match. Luke Swan, meanwhile, he's going well. He's in P5 at the moment, and with a 2:05.2 on that particular lap. Not an improvement, but I think the Iridium SimSports driver can still be very happy with P5 at the moment. He's ahead of the likes of Daniel Yeaman and Thomas Hins, who have taken wins so far this season.
Did you see the mess out of turn one, though?
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Brett Hender and Matty Jones both facing the wrong way, off in the grass doing donuts. Hender's just been cleared to tow back to pit lane, and Matty Jones gets it going now in his car. So a lot of drivers finding troubles here in qualifying, trying to push the limits of their 991s. Still one driver yet to set a lap time, and that's Nathan Norman in the 96. So hopefully he can... Oh, maybe not this lap. Hopefully he can get a time on the board before the end of the session, but he might need to come back to pit lane because the rear end of that car may be a little worse for wear at this point now. Just locked the rears into the cutting there, and it spat him around into the outside fence.
Yes, indeed. Well then, Mr. Jones, he is abandoning this particular lap, and he's going to jump his way into the pits here. The number 15 of Isaac Edwards continuing to try and capitalise on his recent improvements. Unfortunately, he's been put back to 16th place with the improvements from other drivers around him. So what can Isaac do from here, I wonder?
Gonna go faster.
It is the view on board. Very calm and collected.
Yeah, he's very calm and collected, isn't he there, Isaac? Very upright seating position. It's working for him, obviously. A 2:07.7. Just about a tenth higher than his previous best. Sounded like he got a hint of wheel spin through the corner there, but he gathered it up nicely and onto the mountain straight. Matt Danton, though, is setting personal bests all across the mountain on this lap. We'll pick him up as he exits the chase. What can the Ultra C Sports driver do? The number 30, so well known for his oval exploits, but since his move to Ultis, he is making big inroads into his road racing exploits. And a 2:04.499 puts him to the top of the session.
Wow. Fantastic stuff there from Matt Danson, but have a look at that gap. It's only 4,000ths for pole position right now. And Preston, of course, still very close to Kobe Jones's time. So if things go good, we're going to have a great three-way battle for the win tonight. Of course, can't speak too soon. Mount Panorama tends to give and take. So hopefully they'll all be able to hold on, but My goodness, it is so competitive up the front right now. Unfortunately, there's been a bit of an issue there for Shane Best. That's quite heavy damage there on the car. He's come a cropper somewhere across the top too.
And we are set for an absolute cracking race, aren't we? Maybe one that will feature, well, maybe an evening. We've got 2 races, of course, that will feature our safety car driven by Henry King. Judging by the level of drama we're seeing here in qualifying. But with how close it is at the top, it's looking like we are going to have an absolute ball across our 200-kilometer races. Is this a lap that could put himself back on the front row or even back on provisional pole for Riley Preston? He needs to find just the barest of margins to put himself up the order again. 0.08 of a second separating the top 3. This is where he made the mistake earlier. No such error this time.
A very good lap here for Riley Preston. It's looking like, let's see if he can make an improvement here and get pole position. He can indeed, a 2:04.324. The times are just coming down and down and down here at Mount Panorama. Oh my goodness, the end of this session is going to be absolutely electric. What can Matt Danson do to respond to this? He's going to come into the pits this time round, but once again, it's another yardstick to try and beat, and Preston has taken more out of the top lap time than anyone else has so far this session.
Daniel Yeaman's just taken some of the concrete as well out of Mount Panorama's incredible concrete sponsored walls. They managed to plaster a lot of it around this racetrack, but Yeaman's going to take some of it with him. It seems back to pit lane. Big damage to his car. Max Lumsden, high octane sim sports number 22, currently running 15th in the session, just ahead of Isaac Edwards. He needs to find a big chunk though to go and get to the next group of cars. As that's Shane Best. That's the cutting that he's run into a drama. Gets it going though. No one else involved. That's good news. He'll be on his way. And we move back to Max Lumsden. Through Skyline, into the S's. It's such a tricky section of corners to get right. You're trying to brake, turn, and plunge downhill all at the same time. It's a recipe for disaster. You've got to be right on top of your car control to rip it down the mountain there. And then out of Forest Elbow. That was a little kiss of the wall for Lumsden there. With the rear right quarter. We'll see if he's gotten away with it or not. But our director, Jay Kennedy, saying this could be faster. Looks like it won't be though, because he's coming into pit lane, so he may have made a little error through the chase. Lumsden, just behind him on the racetrack, comes out of the chase. All 4 tyres on the track. That's always a good sign. And picking a brake marker just before the pit entrance ends is a good reference for braking into the last corner. It is a lap time that counts. It's a 2:06.57. Monty did find that huge chunk of time that he needed and puts himself up a spot and into P14. He's now in that gaggle of cars from Liam Hall back to Brett Hender, separated by just a couple of tenths of a second, fighting for 11th on the road. So some really close battles out there. Just 1,000th of a second separating Danson and Kobe Jones, 2nd and 3rd. That surely was in the fence for Lumsden, as Dance says, hello, don't forget about me, and puts himself up on the front row. Just 100th of a second away from Preston. That's a very good effort from Cameron there. And may that have been similar to the lap he was on earlier on, until he came across Sean Thompson's car. 2:04.338 compared to Preston's 2:04.323. Nothing between them. Still time for Danson to improve as well. He's just about to roll out of pit lane. Kobe Jones is coming into the chase as well at this point in time. Not sure whether he's on an outlap or a push lap though, so I'll just keep an eye on that in the back of my mind. Preston straight ahead, and straight ahead with some extra barrel rolls for Luke Swan. Preston just sneaks through as Swan landed on all 4 tyres, and Preston was just trying to edge his way by that without copying any damage. That was a little bit of a hairy moment for the guy currently on provisional pole, and that was spectacular, if anything, from Luke Swan there. The 308 of Anthony Green, KRF Motorsports driver. 2 wheels in the grass, left side into the concrete. That's certainly lap over. You can get away with that in the supercar. I don't think you can get away with it in the Porsche, though. They're 2 different beasts, and from what we've seen so far in this session, these cars are not handling that grass too well at McPhillamy Park. You may have noticed as well around this racetrack that we've got some updated signage. In fact, this would have been a good segue for me as I was fumbling over Daniel Yeaman's head into the concrete earlier. But alas, I'll do it now. Some updated signage. There it is. Repco adorns the final corner in the main straight, replacing the previous sponsor there to fall in line with their new sponsorship deal for this year of the Bathurst 1000. So cool to see some updated signage around this Mount Panorama racetrack. And no, I have no idea where Reese Gardner is. If any of you are asking. Oh, there he is.
Hello.
So, good to have you back, Reese. Where did you go, by the way?
I'm very sorry about that. I had to be called away. There was something going on in the personal life that I had to attend to. I do apologise, but we will return to regular duo coverage here with Reese Gardner and Ryan Jones. Riley Preston on another lap here as we can see, and making his way very nicely through the S's section. I'm always astounded by how much Riley Preston can get out of this Porsche. You know, he's been a star at quite a few rounds, and once he gets out in front, there's not much to stymie him. That said, while I was gone, obviously Cameron Dance going to second there, and the gaps remain incredibly close here, Ryan. So I'm looking forward to the final moments of this session when the checkered flag flies and everyone has one more chance here to get their times on the board.
Hearing a couple of things as well. They're not going to have time after the checkered flag to set their laps.
Oh dear.
Hearing it's going to be a hard cut at the end of this session. Also hearing that Cameron Dance did get a tow from his teammate. As I was sort of pondering over the possibility of that earlier on, he did get one, but it didn't help him get pole. He only managed to go second with a tow, so that highlights the incredible effort that Preston's done to give himself that gap back to the rest of the field that could only be eclipsed with the help of slipstream for Dance. Danson's on a lap, Jones is on a lap. They're pushing the limits. Jones pushed them too far just then into the grass across the top of the mountain. Hard pressed to find yourself an off track across the top, but I think he managed to find one there. And here's Shane Best in the Racing Sims KRF car. He's had his share of trouble so far in this session, but he'll be hoping to end it on a high as he comes to the line. Can he improve on a 207.9? Oh, you bet he can. Yeah. 206.7.
Good stuff there from Shane Best, moving up to 16th and putting Isaac Edwards down into 17th place at the moment. Here's Liam Hall, and 206.2 is the time that he's on. He'll want to try and improve on that 12th place, but there's not going to be enough time for him to make it around again. These are going to be the checkered flags for all of our drivers here. Jaden Mollenhauer, he's not going to be able to improve on lucky 13th at the moment. And in terms of drivers that are on a lap at the moment, looks like the majority of us are done. We do have a couple more getting ready to come across the line and just making it across the line in time. A couple of cars coming up the hill. Riley Preston now coming up to the end of this lap. This is going to have to be crucial for him.
I wonder if Danson's just been caught out. We'll wonder if it will be a hard cut to the end of this session. We'll see. We're hearing because it's a heat format race. That's why it's going to be a hard cut to the end of qualifying. which may have caught a few drivers out because Matt Danson just started a lap. Riley Preston's coming to the end of his. Can he extend his advantage and solidify pole position? That's a bit of grass. Whatever lap time that was, it won't count.
Oh well, looks like he's done enough to secure pole position for now. We'll see if there are any other drivers making their way across the line in the final few seconds. Looks like it's not going to happen. The hard cut to the end of the qualifying session is there, and I guess that means we can go through our starting grid. And what a front of the field this is. Riley Preston, 2043. Cameron Dance, 2043. Matt Danson and Kobe Jones, 2045s, more or less, 1,000th either side of that. Thomas Hinz and Luke Swan are going to start on row 3. 5th and 6th. 7th is going to be Daniel Yeaman, taking his debut win back at the Donington round. He'll start alongside Benjamin Faulkner, with Matty Jones and Simon Mazzomo rounding out the top 10. Scott Stevens and Liam Hall round out the top 12.
Starting on row 7, Jaden Mollenhauer and Max Lumsden. Brett Hender and Shane Best occupy the row behind them, with Isaac Edwards and Mark Noble just ahead of Brady Baldwin and Sean Thompson on the 10th row of the grid. Adam Moore and Anthony Green, John Courtney and Nathan Morecambe. And then rounding out your field, Lachlan Mansell, starting from 25th. And of course, you'll be hearing Lockie's voice across the rest of the weekend here on SimSpeed TV for qualifying, the shootout, and the big race on Sunday, as he commentates for cause and raises money for Burns victims. And he's already raised over $1,000 as well. So that is a fantastic news. And
Indeed it is.
Donate. We'll have the link in the YouTube chat and the descriptions across the weekend. And you'll see that livery on his car commentating for a cause as well, adorned with his face that I'm sure many of you have seen plenty of recently.
Yes, indeed. Lockie has spent a bit of time on Australian TV screens recently. He's also doing work at Kiss FM with Kyle and Jackie O. There is commentating for a cause with Lockie's friend, who is the inspiration for his support of the Burns Victims Foundation. Here we go then, green flag, and Riley Preston didn't quite get off to the line like he would have hoped. Cameron Dance has a little bit of a run on him, but the top 3 are broken away from the rest of the field, and Matt Danson trying up the inside of Cameron Dance, a hell corner. Kobe Jones didn't get off to the best start either. He's still trying to break free of the rest of the pack as they all run down the mountain straight. Thomas Hinz side by side with Luke Swan. My goodness. Over the rise, down towards Griffin's Bend. Matt Danson going for the move on Cameron Dance. Just gets a bit too much of the curb though, and Cameron remains with the run around the outside. That brings Kobe Jones back into it. But all this battling is allowing Riley Preston to skip away at the front of the field. It's single file from here on in.
That's mighty impressive from Cameron to hold on around the outside of Griffin's Bend. And that was so close to contact between him and Matt Danson back at turn 1. Danson sent it in pretty deep, just missed the left quarter panel of Dance's car. And yeah, Preston's lucky to get away with that. Wasn't a great start for him. Dance was the quicker driver off the line, but he now holds a nice advantage as we head down the mountain for the first time. Can we all make it onto Conrod straight in one piece? 25 Porsche 911 GT3 Cup 991 cars trying to work their way around one of the most fearsome tracks in motorsport. And the first half of the field have done it with absolute precision.
That they have. It's largely been quite a clean start, but have a look here at the number 30 of Matt Danson. He's starting to come under some pressure here from Kobe Jones, and track's more open down here at the bottom of the mountain, so there is room for a move up the inside into the chase, but Jones elects to stay behind for now. He's not going to make any of those kinds of banzai moves this early into this 16-lap race. It's all about survival at Mount Panorama, but that said, he is quite close to Danson, so maybe a move is going to happen sooner rather than later. Lap 1 complete for the majority of the field, and we look a bit further back at the number 22 of Max Lumsden. He's currently in this big pack. Brett Hender just up ahead of him. The long line of cars behind him. Almost a move there by Brady Baldwin into the first turn there on Isaac Edwards, but thinks better of it. And unfortunately for Brady, he's not going to have many other opportunities to get by until that point next lap. Whoa, Danson up the inside of Cameron Dance yet again, and this time he manages to make it stick. Very well done there. Kobe Jones, can he find a way past Cameron Dance at the cutting on the outside into here? It doesn't always work, but they both managed to squeeze through. Isaac Edwards, meanwhile, has spun in the middle of the field, and there has been a crash. Isaac has stopped Nathan Norman, carrying quite a bit of damage after collecting him. So that's our first major incident of the race.
Just going back to have a look at it. And, yeah, Isaac was on the inside, and he sent it in really deep, locked it up. Lumsden managed to sidestep him, but then just drove into his rear bumper in the middle of the corner. And Isaac was just stranded in the middle of the racetrack as the rest of the field came filtering through.
And nowhere to go for any of those guys. Isaac spinning ahead. There's been another big wreck we're hearing at the top of the mountain. We'll get a look at that in a second. That's what happened to Nathan Norman. I mean, there just wasn't enough space either side of him to really get through there. So we'll see what's going on here. Up at the top of the mountain, there's multiple cars involved in this one. Matty Jones, Simon Mazzomo, and Luke Swan are all stopped, and Benjamin Faulkner trying to get going. This is how it happened. Oh my God, that is a huge smash.
The safety car is being called for multiple shunts on lap 2. Lap 1 was remarkably clean, but it's all kicked off on the second lap of this race. And yeah, that just...
That's
on the
weird.
On the exit there, as he came out of the dipper, Luke Swan, the car just went straight ahead. Maybe some sort of failure for him. And then Matty Jones left with nowhere to go. Faulkner goes straight into both of them as they're spinning. Zomo can't slow down fast enough. In come the rest of the field. Probably less brakes applied by some than could have been. Scott Stevens thundered into that wreck. And then Brett Hender's the first car that's able to get through there without drama. Isaac Edwards only made it to the cutting after he got going before finding the fence again with his damage. So... And Matt Danson is asking what 90 kilometers is in miles per hour, because he's obviously not using... That's the pace car speed, and he's obviously not using normal measurements.
For Matt Danson's benefit, I will say that pace car speed is 88 kilometers per hour, and in miles per hour, that's probably around 50. So... if Matt Danson, if you are listening, then try to stay around 50 miles an hour. Of course, Matt Danson mainly races ovals. He's one of the most prolific Australian competitors in virtual stock car racing, so he's obviously used to freedom units, I guess you could call them.
He's still weird for using those.
Yeah, but the decision makes a little bit of sense at least.
Yeah. So... a big wreck there, and it's going to elevate a few drivers up the order. We've got Benjamin Faulkner, Matty Jones, and Mazzomo all in pit lane. Liam Hall, Max Lumsden, Isaac Edwards, Nathan Norman, and Luke Swan in the pits as well.
Looks to me like Mazzomo's managed to get going again, so he won't lose a lap here behind the safety car. Of course, question is, will he be able to catch back up to the rest of the field in time before the start? The lights are no longer flashing on the pace car of Henry King, so it's usually the signal that he's going to come in at the end of this lap. So I think Simon Mazzomo will be all on his lonesome out there for the rest of this race unless there is another safety car. But now the driver's thoughts will turn to the start. And when they decide to go, the pace car is going to pull away a bit before the chase, and then the field will come under the control of Riley Preston. Once they're out of the chase and on the run down to Murray's Corner, he can go pretty much any time he likes. So Matt Danson, Cameron Dance and Kobe Jones are going to have to be watching intently.
This is not what Preston wanted to see, is it? He'd established a nice little buffer for himself, but now Danson is into second. The man that wanted Imola. And he will be very, very hungry to go with the race leader on this restart. No overlapping until the exit of the final corner race. Let's see how they handle this.
Let's see how they handle it indeed. When does Riley Preston decide to put the hammer down and get going here? Over the rise, on the run down to Murray's. A little bit of weaving as well, maybe to just maybe to distract the drivers behind him a little bit. Preston is going to go at the apex of Murray's Corner, I believe, and that is exactly what he's decided to do. And as we get a race start once again, we have a message from Luke Swan in Sim Chat. Apparently his screen froze. That's the reason why he went straight on out of the dipper. Very unfortunate hardware failure to have there. But Riley Preston has gotten off to a very good start here. The rest of the drivers in single file. The weave has begun down Mountain Straight. Preston wanting to just deny his competitors every single opportunity to get close to him. But Matt Danson is right on it here at the very start.
Brett Hender quickly working his way by Scott Stevens, who's limping around with quite a damaged race car. Restarting from 7th place. 18 cars running from 25 that started. So that wreck, or those wrecks that took out quite a bunch of race cars. Let's see whether Stevens can keep himself afloat, the damage that he is carrying at the moment. But up at the front of the order, they're all sticking quite close together, aren't they? Not letting anyone get away, as we see Hins and Yeaman battling for P5. Yeaman's latched onto the leading group. He's the last car in that group. 6 cars breaking away at the front of the field, then quite a gap back to Brett Hender, who was held up by Stevens on the restart. Now onto Conrod Straight. Look how close Dance is behind Matt Danson. He wants that spot back. Will he go for it? Or will he try to push Danson along and get a bit closer to Preston? Looks like he's lifted off there. He's not going to go for it. And they are closing right in on Preston.
Yeah, goodness me. That's quite the benefit that the draft has given Matt Dance, and of course he might have gotten a little bit of a push from behind by Cameron Dance as well. The gap at the front now back down to 0.4 of a second as they make their way down to Murray's Corner again. Preston, Danson, Jones breaking away ever so slightly from Thomas Hins and Daniel Yeaman, but this top 6 is pretty much the 6 drivers that have been setting the timing screens alight in this championship so far this season. Cameron Dance with a look of grave concentration on his face here as he tries to chase down Matt Danson. Wasn't the best exit from Hell Corner, which means he's coming under an attack here from Kobe Jones. He's going to go defensive on the run up to Griffins and the inside. Oh yeah, Danson going for the lead just in front. He backs out of it. But Kobe Jones and Cameron Dance, they touch wheels. Jones gets hit by Dance into the wall. And oh my goodness, I thought for a second he might have recovered that and kept going, but he ends up riding the wall. And that might be Kobe Jones done for the night. He's obviously going to wait for everyone else to go by. Doesn't want to reverse back out onto the racing line and cause another big wreck. But there we go. It looks like Kobe Jones is back into the pits. So he and Cameron Dance might have a few words after this one.
Yeah, he'll be able to get back out there for race 2. But from the back of the grid, he'll have his work cut out for him. And they just ran so close together through that corner. It was just seemed very unlikely they'd get through without contact. And in the end, yep, not much the Kobe could do once he got hit and was sent on that collision course to the fence to say that it's pretty much a lost cause from that point. But it has allowed Danson a little bit of space now as he looks to attack Preston. He's got to run. He's going to pull to the inside. And for the lead of the race, Matt Danson puts the Altus Esports number 30 up front. Preston immediately trying to fight back, though, at the chase. There's a bit of contact. They get away with it. And Danson's through.
What a move. Fantastic stuff from Matt Danson. And did you see how extreme that overspeed was? Either Preston made a slight mistake at Forest Elbow or the slipstream is just that good. Either way, Altus Esports leads the way across the line here at Bathurst like they did at Imola a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, Thomas Hinds and Daniel Yeaman both searching for more race victories this year in the flat sixes, but they're a bit of a ways away from that at the moment. Danson, Preston and Dance still battling incredibly hard up the front, but look at Daniel Yeaman in the draft of Thomas Hinds. Does he pull out for a move at Griffins? No, he does not. And again, that incident between Kobe Jones and Cameron Dance proving that the inside is really where you want to be in Griffins. I think the main reason they made contact was Jones was trying to stick as much to the inside as he could. Once you're on the outside through that turn, the camber of the road just sends you straight into the wall. So I think there's going to be a few words said about that incident after we've concluded proceedings tonight, but up the front it seems that Riley Preston not letting Matt Danson get away here. Bumper to bumper across the top, slightly wider turn in for Matt Danson through McPhillamy Park, which gives him a great run coming down to the S's, but this is again one of the choke points of the lap where the walls just close in on you and there's no margin for error whatsoever. Loving watching cars go around here at speed, though. It has been a while since we've had a good old Bathurst broadcast here on Sim Speed TV, as that looks like that's Brady Baldwin going for a spin in the S's. Fortunately, it looks like no other cars are involved, so we'll leave that for now. But Riley Preston, he's starting to lose time here to Matt Danson, and Cameron Dance starting to draw up to the back of him here on the run up to the chase. I don't know if there's going to be a chance of a move here. Is Dance far up enough alongside? Preston slightly defensive on the way into the braking zone, but that's just allowed Matt Danson to gain a tiny bit more time down the straight. It does equal out, though, after the corner complex, so this battle's not over.
Yeah, Preston must have got a pretty poor exit from Forest Elbow, because that tow from Danson's car in front should have really helped him along in towards the chase. But as they cross the line, the top three are separated by 0.6 of a second. And Thomas Hinds in P4 is going quicker than all three of them, and he's dragging Daniel Yeaman with them. So it could yet be a 5-car scrap for the lead of this race. We're on lap 7 of 16. We've just seen Kobe Jones pull out of the session. Hopefully he comes back for race 2 later on. Everyone else who's retired from this race is still in the server. Hopefully we get to see Kobe come back.
Yeah, I hope so too, as that was a problem for Brady Baldwin down at the chase and stays out on track. Of course, no need to pit in these 100-kilometre sprints, but man, Brady has not had a good last few laps as we check back in with this lead battle. Cameron Dance, he falls off the back of Preston and Danson across the top, but seems to come back at them on the run out of Forest Elbow. We'll see if he can maintain that this lap, but Preston just as close to Danson as he's always been down through the S's. It seems it's on goodness me, yeah, that brake application. Cameron Dance really pushing it into that braking zone, and looks like Danson's just managed to pull a little gap there as well. A slight error from Riley Preston getting the traction down out of the dipper. And Forest Elbow, it seems, also a weak point for him, because look at that. Danson is starting to pull away once more.
I wonder if they've just tuned up that Altus car to be very... What's the word I'm looking for?
Slippery in a straight line?
Yeah. There's a bit of a balance, isn't there, with a truck like Bathurst between with your downforce settings. I mean, do you set it up to be a rocket ship down the straights? Do you compromise that a little bit and heap on the downforce to help you across the top of the mountain? Do you sit it somewhere in the middle? There's an interesting balance to be found there, and the one that gets it right could often be the one that ends up at the front of the field. And I just wonder if we're seeing that here from Matt Danson. The Altus Esports team, we know they're good at setting up a race car, and right now that car looks like a rocket ship in a straight line.
Absolutely it does. Checking back again on the Virtual Racing School replay. I think that's Shane Best that we're going to be focusing on. Having a slight issue at the chase. Oh no, actually, a couple of cars coming together in front of him. Mark Noble and the KRF machine making a slight mistake there, and the 092 of Sean Thompson making his way past, and it looks like that might have been a bit of contact, potentially. No, actually, they both managed to give each other just enough room, so a few adventures there towards the the midfield of the pack. Back to the lead battle then. Riley Preston right on the bumper of Matt Danson.
Yeah, I think we're certainly seeing a difference in opinion on setup here. I think Danson's gone for straight line and Preston's gone for stability. Because Preston is all over him across the mountain, but Danson streaks away when they get to Conrod. It's going to make it tough for Preston to overtake. He's going to have to get a really strong exit from Forest Oboe in order to create a run. And maybe even get a bit of a bump draft from Cameron Dance to make it happen. Or go for an aggressive move across the mountain.
Yeah, that's entirely possible there for Riley Preston. Yeah, you're right. He just doesn't have the straight line speed compared to Matt Danson. I think that maybe Preston was expecting to be up the front and remain at the front, but now that Matt Danson is ahead, it's basically unassailable, because passing up the top is incredibly hard, to say the least, thanks to the closeness of the walls and how much up and down, side to side there is up there. So I'm wondering whether Riley Preston has it in him to catch back up to Matt Danson and pass him at this point, because it seems Danson's pretty comfortable out there in the lead. Plus, Preston, of course, has Dance to worry about behind him.
Well, last up we picked up, Preston was literally pushing Danson towards McPhillamy. So let's see. Why don't we jump on board with Riley Preston in a second and see how he closes up to Matt Danson as they head up the mountain. Here we go, on board with Preston now. Already into the cutting. Look at him take a much shallower line into the corner, able to close up. Danson accelerates out a little bit better. Now this is the area where having more downforce on the car is going to help him out. He'll be able to carry more speed through the corners. And he is closing up on Danson again. That much is undoubtable. But I think Danson's doing a slightly better job on this lap of just maintaining an advantage. Through the S's. Preston slightly better. Not getting quite as close as the previous lap. That previous lap may have been a little too close for comfort. But he's back up to his bumper at Forest Elbow. So, another lap, and it's probably about as close as it's been, actually, for a couple laps. He closed up right at a critical point there, did he? Didn't Preston, did he? I don't know what I just said.
Neither do I. But I think I get the gist of what you're trying to say. You can definitely see that Evolution Racing Team car is set up with maybe a bit more of a compliant rear end, because Preston was able to trail brake there into the cutting and really get the run through the mid-corner on Matt Danson, and he's managed to keep the gap pretty consistent here at the end of the lap as well. So who knows, maybe Preston's just gearing up for another attack here as they come round to start lap 10 of 16, well past half race distance now, and this is where things will start to get more intense as the tyres continue to work as they go through their heat cycles. The drivers might, oh dear, Sean Thompson at a standstill, it seems, somewhere on the circuit. That looks to be down at the chase, I believe. Yes, so something has obviously gone very wrong for Sean Thompson on the exit, because he's on the side of the tyre wall that's facing Murray's. Let's see what happened to him here, and we got the slow-mo out for this one too. Looks like maybe just the rear end breaking free on the turn-in, maybe just locked the rear tyres ever so slightly, but either way, that is coming to a stop in the grass there for Sean Thompson. Fortunately, managed to keep it out of the wall, so still relatively damage-free. He has got a couple of dents on the car, but he didn't add any that time.
He looped it again at Murray's corner, unfortunately. You know, those tyres a bit too hot for his liking now. with Preston no longer able to get side by side with Danson, it is allowing them to put in slightly quicker laps, and Preston, Danson, and Dance are just keeping Hinsey and Yeaman at bay. But they're right there. As soon as they go side by side, Hins will close in. He'll bring Yeaman with them, and it will be 5 cars fighting for the race win. Again, Preston right underneath that rear wing of Matt Danson out of Forest Elbow. He's getting better and better each lap at his exit out of that critical corner, isn't he?
Oh yeah. It's been a problem corner for Preston so far, as it looks like we've had a problem in the S's. Brett Hender has found the wall, and it's not been a good day for Fusion Sim Racing out there. Already had Scott Stevens involved in the pile up through the S's on the second lap. So what's happened to Brett Hender here?
Let's get Jaden Mollenhauer's view of this in a minute. And the safety car's been called for this one.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Oh dear. All righto. A little smooch of the front bumper. Through Jaden Mollenhauer goes. Poor Brett Hender. Once you end up losing it through the S's, not much you can do to recover once you re-enter the track. And there's Mollenhauer's view. A little bit of a boop there on the front bumper, and away he goes. Probably lost a second or two, but now that the safety car's been called, it's probably not going to matter that much.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that safety car call. So, Hinsey and Yeaman do close up to the leading group. Now, tyres will cool down. Heads will have some time to think. And we will have a sprint to the end of this 16-lap already sprint race. It's Danson, Preston, and Dance, your top 3. Hins and Yeaman completing the top 5. Stevens, Mollenhauer, Mark Noble, Adam Moore, Simon Mizomo's got back to 10th. Or rather, he had. He's now come into pit lane, using the safety car to repair even more damage from his car that he picked up on that earlier safety car. But it was a good recovery drive for him. He looks to continue that. And then behind him is John Courtney. Anthony Green, Lockie Mansell's up to 13th, keeping himself relatively clean. Sean Thompson, Benjamin Faulkner, Brett Hender is 16th, and Shane Best 17th. Biggest mover in the field race will be, I think that'll be Adam Moore, up 11 spots, 21st to 9th.
Looks to me like John Courtney has made up 12 as well, 23rd to 11th. There's been quite a few big movers in this field thanks to the incidents early on, but that's all part of the game here at Mount Panorama. You have to survive, and Lockie Mansell has managed to survive here as well. Of course, gaining quite a few positions despite qualifying last thanks to those incidents out there. Lockie is now up into 12th position ahead of Sean Thompson. So then, down Conrod Straight, the lights on the safety car are no longer flashing. We're going to get a restart here, and it's going to be a 5-lap dash around Mount Panorama to finish off race 1 of the Flat Sixes this weekend. Race 2 will be coming up right after this. We hope that you stay with us here on SimSpeed TV, because we've got one heck of a finish coming up for you here. Henry King at the wheel of the Oceanic Sim Racing safety car, pulling away from the rest of the field, and now Matt Danson will lead them away at the restart. And he would have noticed on the previous restart that Preston went at the apex of Murray's. Does he decide to do the same, or throw a spanner into the works and go maybe a little bit earlier? We'll have to wait and see here. One more turn to go before the restart zone is traversed. Packed like sardines over the crest. When does the number 30 decide to put the pedal down? Looks like he's going to be doing the same thing as Riley Preston did. Apex of Murray's on the power, And away we go. 5 laps to go here at Mount Panorama, and it's a great start from Matt Danson. He absolutely nailed the throttle. Riley Preston wasn't able to keep up with him. Cameron Dance now right on the rear bumper. Hins and Yeaman still behind. In 6th place, Scott Stevens is still holding on despite the damage he sustained from the crash earlier, and it looks like he's got a good gap back to Matty Jones as things stand right now. Matty Jones, of course, a lap car as Preston. A little bit of a look up the inside of Matt Danson, but nothing doing for the time being. But this is where he is strong, as we pointed out many times tonight.
Very little patience now for any of these drivers. Tyres still have to come up to temperature. They will have cooled down quite a bit under that safety car. Preston harassing the back of that number 30. He is right underneath him. Is he going for the move at McPhillamy Park? He showed the nose, but Danson was firm. He shut the door and said, no, you cannot come through here.
I saw a little bit of an oversteer moment for Matt Danson coming out of metal grade as well, and he's a little bit squirrely through the dipper as well. Certainly not the strongest sector of the circuit for the Altus Porsche. But here, the exit of Forest Elbow is... Oh no, Danson, he's run wide. He's gone into the wall. This is going to give the run to Riley Preston here. Is it going to be a move down at the chase? It was only a slight tap of the wall there for Matt Danson, but it lost him crucial momentum. You see, though, that the straight line speed of the Altus car is such that Preston just can't catch up in a straight line. How much wing have they trimmed out on that Altus machine, I wonder?
All of it. He locked up on the entry to Forest Elbow. It sent him wide and he kissed the wall and exit. But look at Preston through the chase. So much better. Danson half covers the inside for the final corner. Locks up again. He's under all sorts of pressure right now. He is feeling the pressure and succumbing to it. But Preston still needs to find a way by. 4 to go. A dive at the inside of turn 1. Danson sees him coming. Leaves the door ajar. Now a drag race out of the corner. Danson will win this one with the straight line speed, and here comes Cameron Dance as well.
Look at Cam right on the back here of Riley Preston. I don't think it's going to be a move into Griffins. Preston will undoubtedly cover the inside here. Dance will have to move, and Preston just covers him once again. Does not want to lose this second place because it means that's the opportunity gone to challenge Matt Danson for the win. It's brought Thomas Hins and Daniel Yeaman back into it as well. It is a proper 5-car battle for the race win now. Matt Danson just a little bit tight there out of the cutting. That's good though. You can get the power down nicely. But let's see how much Riley Preston rounds him up again here.
We can't pass him at the chase because that straight line speed is just too good. Preston needs to find somewhere else to pass Matt Danson. He had a look at turn 1. He couldn't get it done there. He showed the nose at McPhillamy. It brought an error from Danson down at Forest Elbow. He needs to keep showing that nose, to keep forcing errors from Danson. Cameron Dance is right there, waiting for his moment as well. We know how smart of a racer Cameron Dance is as well. He's not going to sit back there and settle for third. He will go for this win. Right now, he's just waiting for his moment.
Plenty more moments to come, though, over the last 3 laps once they cross the line. The top 3 have broken away briefly from Hins and Yeaman. Can these two hold on and challenge for the podium? Nothing happening in the braking zone for the chase, but Riley Preston carrying a little bit more speed through the mid-corner, rounding up Matt Danson once again, forcing the Altus driver to think about going defensive, but Danson decides to leave the door open. No threat from Riley Preston that time around. Now 3 to go at Bathurst. Preston must be so frustrated here. He has got a fast car, he has, but he just can't take advantage across the top. Maybe a little mistake from Danson out of Hell Corner can help him. Down the run, up Mountain Straight. Down the run, up? Goodness me. But Danson is going defensive here once again. Preston just not close enough to go for the dive bomb. Moves across. Danson stays middle of the road. Preston on the racing line. Manages to round him up just a little bit. But oh yeah, that was huge. And that's given another good opportunity there to Matt Danson. Looks like Cameron Dance has been compromised by that as well. Under attack from Thomas Hins into the cutting. Yeaman up the inside of Thomas Hins. That is an opportunistic move gone completely wrong.
And that's big damage to both cars, you would have to suspect. Yep, Hinsley's car is broken. Yaman just tried to clear himself. He wasn't quite there. So it's back to a 3-car fight. Yaman saw an opportunity, tried to take it. Just couldn't clear himself in time. The top 3 left to fight amongst themselves then. Danson, Preston, Dans, Altus Esports, Evolution Racing Team, TechSense, Fitzstein Motorsport.
Couple of moves going on back in the field, but another lock-up there from Matt Danson coming into Forest Elbow. Doesn't compromise him all that much. He knows that he is safe down the long straights of Mount Panorama with basically no rear wing at all on that Altus Porsche. You see that the gap is not closed up at all by Riley Preston or Cameron Dance. They're going to have to rely on mid-corner speed across the top of the mountain to try and challenge him here. But it's looking less and less likely as time goes on. The one thing that they'll be betting on is a mistake from Danson.
2 laps to go. 12 kilometres of Mount Panorama. And Danson fires it wide of the apex at the final corner. He is making mistakes. He doesn't look comfortable at the front of this field. It's not an oval. And so it's not where Danson is comfortable. He's still relatively new to high-level road racing. Something he's been working on since going to Altus Esports and developing very quickly, but still not as strong as his oval prowess, but fantastic opportunities to demonstrate his progress recently with a win at Imola in the flat sixes, and he wants to back it up with a win in Bathurst. Preston thought about a move at the cutting. Danson was just able to prevent that from happening. We've got to see a ballsy move from Preston. He's going to have to fire one up the inside where Danson's least expecting it.
And where does it happen is the big question. Danson pushing so hard across the top, he almost got into the wall out of metal grate. Riley Preston just using a little bit of the curb there on the exit of McPhillamy to stabilise his car, maybe destabilise it a little bit, and back on the bumper of Danson through the S's, down to Forest Elbow. Can he nail the throttle application and stay close enough in the slipstream as there's another lock up there from Danson? They both run wide. Preston has to back off to get out of the wall, which might bring an opportunity here to Cameron Dance on the penultimate lap of the race. There could still be changes here in the top 3, but Danson remains ahead. We look on board with the Kiwi. Following Riley Preston in the slipstream. He's getting a slight run here coming up to the chase. Does he go for the move? No, he does not. If he wants to get it done, he's going to have to wait until the final lap and make sure that he's within range.
He may be expecting an incident amongst the top 2. He might try to Bradbury this one. Cameron Dance. He's the sort of person that would have the luck to do that. So we begin the final lap of race 1 tonight. 6 kilometres left. We don't know who's going to win this race. There's nothing to separate the top 2. 0.2 of a second at the line.
This is going to be so close. Final lap at Bathurst. What can Cameron Dance do here? Behind Riley Preston, well in the draft. Down Mountain Straight. Danson gaining just a little bit up towards the end of the straight. Nice and smooth through Griffins, but have a look at the exit from Preston and Dance. The traction is supreme in that Evolution Racing Team Porsche. Does he go for the move? The cutting, he does. Matt Danson makes a little mistake, and then, oh, there we go. Oh, my goodness.
Dance is through. Cameron Dance into the lead.
Oh, my goodness. That took me by surprise. Matt Danson is heavily damaged. He's going to have to limp his way back to the pits from here. After such a stellar drive, I don't even know if he's going to make it back to the pits with that spin. We'll get the Virtual Racing School replay just in time before our leader crosses the line. Here's what happened on the exit of Griffin's Bend. They worked out all right, but Danson, he just had a little bit of a wiggle coming into the cutting and went wide. Riley Preston was right there to take advantage of it. He was planning that move, but it ultimately ended up going awry for the both of them.
And he got the overlap, but not much of it. And Danson did not want to let him through. 2 hard heads collide. And Dance does exactly as predicted. The Bradbury, he sits back, he waits, they come together, and through he sails.
This is going to be a very happy Cameron Dance, we'll see here. Probably didn't get the race win in the way that he wanted. He would have liked to have a nice battle, but he'll certainly take this with Preston and Danson taking each other out. It's checkered flag out here. Barney's going to wave the flag. Power on, and Cameron Dance crosses the line to win race 1 of the flat sixes here at Mount Panorama. Celebratory swig of the bottle, and away you go. Preston will hold on for second, it seems.
It's just too easy for Cameron Dance, isn't it? He just wins every time he goes racing. P3, though, well, who's going to win that battle? At the end of it all, third place goes the way of Yeaman. Yeaman got it, but only just over Scott Stevens.
Yeah, it was
Stevens will be happy with that, won't he?
Oh, yeah, he will. I was going to say, pretty stellar drive from Scott Stevens in the last few laps. Unfortunately, we missed most of it because the lead battle was so scintillating. Matt Danson, it looks like, is going to make it across the line, but down in 13th place, one of the last running cars out there, he's probably going to get overtaken here by the Fitzstye machine of Simon Mazzomo, who's made it back out onto the racetrack from hero to zero for Matt Danson and Riley Preston. It's such a shame. It was a great battle between the two of them, but when Bathurst bites, it sinks its teeth deep.
We get to do interviews. I want to ask them their thoughts.
I'm sure we'll be able to get a chance to talk to them at the end of the night. Here's the race results, though. Cameron Dance by 4.7 over Riley Preston. Daniel Yeaman completes the podium, and Scott Stevens with a 4th place finish. Jaden Mollenhauer making up the top 5 there with another great drive. Mark Noble coming home in P6 with Thompson 7th. Then it's Faulkner, Moore and Courtney rounding out the top 10.
Did I just hear a cat?
Yes, you did. My cat's at my door.
Anthony Green in 11th, ahead of Lockie Mansell in 12th, up 13 spots. Simon Mazzomo comes home in 13th, ahead of Matt Danson, last car on the lead lap, and disappointed. Thomas Hins in 15th, after his incident towards the end as well. Shane Best is a retirement, along with Liam Hall, Brett Hender, Brady Baldwin, Matty Jones, Kobe Jones, Max Lumsden, Nathan Norman, Isaac Edwards, and Luke Swan.
So that's the race result for the first part of our Flat 6 action tonight. But don't go away. Race 2 is going to be coming up very shortly. And after we come back from our break, we'll have a very brief chat here with Lockie Mansell about his commentating for a cause. I'm Reese Gardner, Ryan Jones with me, Jay Kennedy on production. You're watching SimSpeed TV, the V8SCOPS supports from Mount Panorama.
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
Hey everyone, the USF 2000 is a blast to drive now, and here's your chance to learn it quickly. From my tutorial, VRS created a free bonus track guide for the Laguna Seca circuit, where you can learn exactly what I do in every corner to improve your lap times and get faster on track. You'll learn how to easily recognise brake markers, you'll find out which curbs to attack and which ones to avoid, you'll know when to use the full track and when a sequence of corners requires a compromise, and you'll learn how hard to brake and when to lift. The VRS quick reference track maps are available free to download and delivered each week to your inbox. The entire Global MX-5 series is available, as well as bonus maps like this one and many more. So if you're a new racer, or a veteran, or just anyone who wants to learn how to get faster sooner, the VRS track guides are for you. Just hit the link or button on screen and get yours today.
You're watching the RacingSims.co.nz V8SCOPS support series from the virtual Mount Panorama circuit. We just had a crazy opening race of the flat sixes here. Matt Danson and Riley Preston battling for the race win, but they came together on the final lap and Cameron Dance slipped through to do the Bradbury and take the victory in race one. Can either Preston or Danson come back from this is the big question, but we're in the warm-up session between the two races at the moment, and joining us in the commentary box, you might know his face from reality TV over the past year or so. Lachlan Mansell joins us, and Lockie, you're commentating for the V8SCOPS broadcasts this weekend for a cause.
Indeed, commentating for a cause, the inaugural event to raise money for the Burn Support Foundation. So an initiative that I've launched to take what I love doing, which is talking about motor racing, and using it to raise money for charity. Obviously, because real life motorsport's on hold at the moment, I've decided to make this year's event commentating some sim racing, which I enjoy doing as well. And the idea is that this will be an annual thing. So this year, the Burn Support Foundation is the chosen charity, and the idea is that it'll be a different charity each year.
That's very good stuff there, Lockie. And I hear that you have a personal reason for choosing the Burn Support Foundation in particular.
Indeed. Last year, one of my good friends, Maddie Scordia, was involved in a horrific burns accident. She was in a fire accident in Adelaide, and she sustained 60% burns, full thickness burns to her body. So I've seen how badly burns can affect people, but also how important organisations are like the Burn Support Foundation in supporting victims through their recovery phase.
Well, you've also managed to raise a fairly solid amount of money so far, over $1,000 raised so far, Lockie, which is really good to see, the kind of support here from the sim racing and motor racing communities.
It's absolutely fantastic race, and still opportunities for people to donate as well. On Sunday during the SimSpeed TV coverage of the V8SCOPS Bathurst 1000, people will be able to ask questions or make comments on the YouTube channel, and if they submit a donation, their comment or question will get moved to the top of the feed and we'll be able to answer it on air. And also Maddie Scordy, she's going to jump in and join us for part of the coverage as well, so we can have a chat to her at some stage during the race, which will be good as well.
Certainly will. Well, you've already gotten a pretty good result here tonight, Lockie, with other drivers coming a cropper in the opening laps. So obviously you'll be hoping for more of the same here in race two.
I'm totally shocked, to be honest, with the result from race 1. I mean, in qualifying, it didn't go according to plan. I crashed it on lap number 2, and realistically, I don't have the pace of the front runners anyway, nowhere near it. I'm quite a few seconds off the pace. So, to be honest, this second race, I want to stay out of the way of all of the championship contenders. So I'll probably be fairly conservative in the opening couple of laps, and then settle into a rhythm and stay out of trouble again, and hopefully end up with another top 15 finish to round out the night.
Well, you got 30 seconds to prepare for the race, Lockie, so we'll let you go. Thank you very much for joining us.
Awesome race. Thanks for having me, and looking forward to joining you on the coverage throughout the rest of the weekend for what promises to be an epic V8SCOPS Bathurst 1000 Enduro.
Indeed. It's going to be a great weekend. Me and Lockie sharing the box on Sunday. We'll leave Lockie.
I'll be there too.
Yes, of course, Ryan will be there too. Don't want to leave you out, Ryan, but we'll leave Lockie to finish his preparations for the race, and we'll go through the starting grid now for the second race of the night here. The feature, as might be called in the iRacing heat session indicator. I'm having a lot of trouble finding a few words tonight, but Cameron Dance is going to start on pole thanks to his race win. Riley Preston will start alongside him. Daniel Yeaman and Scott Stevens on row 2. It's going to be a great start there for Stevens. He'll have to capitalise on it. Jaden Mollenhauer and Mark Noble rounding out the top 6. Sean Thompson and Benjamin Faulkner lining up 7th and 8th, with the 5th row taken up by Adam Moore and John Courtney. And then it's Anthony Green and the pleasant bloke we were just talking to, Lockie Mansell, starting in 12th.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Some of us almost starting in 13th. This is my boss, I'm allowed to say that. Matt Danson in 14th. Thomas Hins and Shane Best on row number 8, ahead of Liam Hall and Brett Hender. Brady Baldwin and Matty Jones. Kobe Jones, Max Lumsden, Nathan Norman, Isaac Edwards and Luke Swan round out the 25 cars that hopefully will take to the start. We've lost a couple, it seems, though, in between races 1 and 2, as everyone grids up, and we're set for a start.
We are. Looks like Kobe Jones is not taken to the grid. We've lost Brady Baldwin, Nathan Norman and Max Lumsden too. But away we go for race 2. It's a bad start from Daniel Yeaman. He's lost quite a few positions there. It was a great start from Riley Preston to try and challenge Cameron Danson to turn 1. Side by side now between Yeaman and Mollenhauer.
Spinner, Sean Thompson. Danson collects him. So does Matty Jones.
Oh yeah, there we go. Pretty big incident at the back of the field. Thompson and Lockie Mansell as well. They were involved in that opening smash. As out of the pits comes probably a very surprised Adam Moore. Wasn't expecting
Preston and Dance
the other way.
Oh, Preston went through at turn 2. Dance did the switch back and went straight back through again.
Wow, okay, so we're already seeing a fantastic battle here, and they're slowing each other up, which is allowing Scott Stevens to slap onto the back of this train for the top positions. Matt Danson getting off to the start as well, with some damage from that incident we saw in the background just before. Meanwhile, it is between Riley Preston and Cameron Dance now for this race win. Have a look at the gap they are pulling now on Scott Stevens. They're only involved with each other at the moment, and my goodness, Preston, he's already had plenty of experience running behind a car at Bathurst tonight. Let's see if he'll tolerate any more of it, as Daniel Yeaman on the back of Scott Stevens. He wants to try and make his way past. Stevens locks up and gets into the wall at Forest Elbow, but everyone else manages to avoid him.
Just casting my eye through the field, there are some very close battles right now, as the field's been jumbled up quite a bit by that lap 1 incident. Hopefully we can get a replay of that and see how it sort of unfolded as into the chase. Look how close these two are as Preston fires one up the inside on the brakes, doing what he couldn't in race 1, which is a move at the end of Conrod Straight. Straight line speed between Preston and Dance is much more similar than it is compared to Matt Danson. At the end of lap 1, it will be Preston that leads after multiple lead changes on the opening 6Ks, and Yeaman back into 3rd despite that poor start.
So business as usual from here on in for Daniel Yeaman, despite that poor start, which we just saw at the bottom of the screen there. Here is the incident that happened in the back of the pack. And just spinning around by himself there. The Simworks car. That's very unfortunate for Sean Thompson.
And looks like Mansell got caught up in a concertina effect on the outside, and that's what pitched him into the outside fence. He was behind Danson, and whoever was behind Mansell was left with nowhere to go. So Danson will have a bit of damage to both the front and the rear of his car, but he is not letting it affect him too much. He's right on the back of Simon Mizomo now. There he is. We pick him up, running in 9th place. Mizomo and Noble right in front of him. Noble's lost a couple of spots on this lap to Faulkner at turn 1, and Thomas Hinds probably at turn 2 as well. Mizomo, that's brave. Yeah, backs out of that quite wisely, but now Danson wants a piece of it. Mizomo covering him off. Quite racy, this group.
Yeah, it is indeed, and goodness me, I can't imagine what's going through Simon Mizomo's head right now. You don't want to have that happen across the top of the mountain, having to alter your line. It's pretty much single line through there, and actually Scott Stevens, it seems, despite his earlier incident. Onto the back! Oh no! And Mizomo, he'll have to hold the brakes there. He's off the racing line. That's good, but he's going to have to wait for other drivers to come by before he can really get going again, and you see the look of disappointment on his face. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
He's almost as disappointed as when he realised Cameron Dance was his team.
Oh dear. Well, this might be a safety car if Mizomo can't get it going. Oh, he's managed to find reverse, and as everyone else has gone by, he'll have to make a few point turn here to get it going, but it looks like we're going to stay under green flag conditions for now. Mizomo back up and running, but he will be absolutely ruining that error. He was running incredibly well there in the top 10, but it's not going to be the result.
How close Matt Danson was to being taken out here.
Oh yeah.
This replay shows it. He actually got hit as Mizomo was spitting. This was so close to disaster for the Alta C Sports driver. Just a snap of oversteer for Mizomo.
Oh, goodness, you're right. That was incredibly close to Matt Danson getting turned around, rear end contact. We'll see it on board here. So Mizomo just get a little squirrely under the brakes, a bit of oversteer, pinches the rear, and that is how close it was to Matt Danson getting completely taken out of this race. Good on Scott Stevens to avoid that as well. But my goodness, I really think that Simon Mizomo would have been hoping for a lot better from tonight. He certainly has shown great pace, but maybe he can carry that through to the final few rounds of this Flat Six Championship. We haven't got long to go in the championship fight, as Jaden Mollenhauer and Thomas Hinds battling for 4th place. Just behind them, Benjamin Faulkner. And Hinsey, in between the two races, already verbally conceded the championship to Riley Preston, which I think is a bit pessimistic.
That's one word for it. Maybe it's mind games, trying to give Preston hope, and then he's going to go and crush that hope. Some sort of twisted mind game there from Hinsey. We'll see. But he's going all right in this race, up to 5th, sorry. Looking to turn that into 4th with a move down at the chase. It seems likely. Edging closer with the help of the toe. Going to show the nose, go for the dive. Much deeper on the brakes than Mollenhauer. Sort of forced Mollenhauer to back out of that. Didn't leave him much room. And Faulkner, as a result, is able to slip through as well. So Mollenhauer loses 2 for his efforts. And they go up to P4 and P5. And Danson just behind them as well. Up at the front of the field, the gap between Preston and Dance is half a second. Daniel Yeaman is 1.8 seconds back. So they've just separated ever so slightly. Dance is just holding Preston at an arm's length ahead of him. Maybe just biding his time for now. There's the gap.
Indeed, half a second between our leaders. So things have calmed down ever so slightly here. We do still have plenty of battles going on through the field. Stevens, Noble and Jones are in a 3-car pack, as well as the pack we were looking at before, with Hinsey, Faulkner and Mollenhauer. Matt Danson has managed to catch up to the back of them as well, so that's not going to be foremost on the minds of these two guys on screen at the moment, but certainly something to keep an eye out for. This beautiful section across the top of the hill. The track conditions are a bit warmer than they were in the qualifying session. It's up to 31 degrees now as we are in mid-morning in sim time here at Bathurst. So maybe that is something the drivers are going to have to contend with. A little bit more heat going into the tyres, a little bit more of a tendency to lose grip. Matt Danson will not be thinking about that. He'll be thinking about trying to make a move here on Jaden Mollenhauer, and he does that at the exit of Forest Elbow as Mollenhauer maybe just kissed the wall.
Doesn't even need his straight line advantage. That was just easy as you like for Danson, but I'll tell you what, Mollenhauer's coming back. Have we found a rival for Danson's straight line speed?
I think we might have.
Just dabbed the brakes there to ensure he didn't challenge Matt. He knows that Danson is quicker overall around this lap. Oh, steady on. The 921 almost lost it there at the chase. So Danson's recovered up to 6th from 14th on the grid.
Yeah, it's been a good run for Matt Danson so far as Mark Noble makes his way past Matty Jones and then immediately runs wide out of Murray's corner, gives the position back. A lot of slicing and dicing going on through the field. The number 10 of Brett Hender might be able to take advantage of that mistake from Mark Noble. We'll have to see. Brett Hender, of course, we saw him have a spin in the S's in race 1, so he's still looking for a good result from tonight. Maybe he will be able to get it. He's on the verge of getting into the top 10, and also got to think about his teammate Scott Stevens ahead in 8th place. Could potentially be a good result for Fusion Sim Racing, but not a good result for Shane Best with that breaking point, making his way into Griffin's Bend. Looks like he just managed to keep it out of the wall, though.
I mean, he bounced off the tyre bundle very nicely. Just sort of bounced him back out and he kept going on his way. Didn't bury it in at all. Yeah, very fortunate in that scenario there for Shane Best. As we pick up the race leaders once more. It's a tango at the front between two quality drivers across any race car in iRacing. Preston and Dance, just over half a second separating them at the moment. Dance getting a toe down the straights. You know Preston is superior through the corners compared to Danson. You haven't really been able to compare between himself and Dance too much. At the moment, we're only on lap 5 of 16 race, so there's no real incentive for Dance to push hard and harass Preston as we take a look at a VRS replay.
Whoa!
Oh no, he got the fence.
For a moment he was deja vuing it down through the S's, but unfortunately Shane Best is having a bit of trouble keeping it out of the walls today. He does still continue. It looks like the gap for the lead has decreased a bit, down to 0.3 of a second now.
That was a good last sector or two for Dance. Got himself well within the draft bubble of Riley Preston. Well, now as we ride just next to the left headlight of Cameron Dance, we can have a little look at the difference between himself and Preston across this mountain.
See the curb usage through here. It's always a bit of a point of contention among drivers. Some like to really monster those curbs, and you see Riley Preston got a much better exit out of the cutting and through that section than Cameron Dance did. So maybe there's a few traction issues in that Fitzstye car. No such issues for the Evolution Racing Team machine, who we already know has a pretty good rear end on that thing, which is really saying something because there's not much you can adjust on these cars. You can only adjust the very basics on these machines. I think just dampers and springs and anti-roll bars, that's about it that you can adjust on these cars. So really shows the difference in driving styles as well between a lot of people on the service.
Well, there's two things I've just picked up on. Preston is certainly better across the mountain, at least on that lap. Secondly, Dance is carrying some right-hand front damage, and that could be affecting him as well.
Yeah, you see it right there. I think... Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! I had to pause for a second there. I thought that Porsche's turning a little bit too much. Looks like Cameron Dance just putting the power on a bit too hard out of Murray's corner and out of the battle for the lead. He's down to third place. Thomas Hinz is starting to round him up here. Hinzy not close enough to go for the move at Hell Corner, but Cameron Dance is out of the battle for the win.
Do you think that damage was affecting him?
Oh,
Here comes Hinz.
Maybe not at that point of the circuit, but certainly harming the straight line speed a little bit. Hinzy taking advantage of that mistake from Dance. Going to sweep by here at Griffins, or is he? Dance holding on to the inside. Hinzy leaves him the room, though.
Well, neither of these two will lift into the cutting. Dance will hold it on the outside. Round the outside of the cutting. That is brave stuff from Cameron Dance. Contact, just a little hip check with himself and Hinz there. Hinzy backs out and gives some props to Cameron Dance over the radio there. He's happy with that battle between himself and Cameron.
Yeah, Hinzy will certainly let everyone know about it if he's had an incident out there on track. So goes the other way as well. Likes to show appreciation when someone battles him cleanly. It looks like Dance has managed to get back onto some sort of a rhythm here, and that side-by-side running they were having just then has allowed Benjamin Faulkner to catch right up to them, and guess who he's dragging along with him? Matt Danson.
Could get pretty juicy for the final step on the podium here in race 2. Thomas Hinz certainly got the pace to stay with Cameron Dance. Interested to see what Faulkner can do. And we know Danson is blazing around this racetrack. It does mean that Riley Preston is left with a 3.7 second advantage at the front of the field over Daniel Yeaman, who is running in second. Make that a 5.2 second advantage. That was a pretty poor lap from Yeaman there. So he's made a mistake as well. That was a golden lap for Preston. The guy in second spun and the guy in third made a mistake as well. 5.2 seconds the gap over second and 11 seconds back to third for your race leader. Hinzy in the tow race, pulls to the inside. Role reversal of the previous lap. Now it's Hinz on the inside, Dance on the outside. Goes in very deep, too deep. Hinzy's able to clear him. Faulkner, seeing the positions change in front of him, will be very eager to get amongst it and see if he can try to go with either of these drivers if they start to pull away. Matt Danson on the previous lap, a 206.5 for him. It was a 208.1 for Thomas Hinz. So a lot quicker than the trio in front of him for the Altus Esports driver. Through the S's. He's almost there. In fact, when he hits Conrod, he will be getting a very nice slipstream from all three of those cars in front of him. He will be moving very fast on the head towards the chase. All of them pretty much lock up as they try to get it stopped and turn at Forest Elbow. And now on to Conrod Straight we go for the 8th time in this race. We're at half race distance for race 2, 50 kilometres down, and Dance getting a nice tow off the back of Thomas Hinz. Can he go for a lunge down at the chase, braking at about 150 metres out from the corner? No, he doesn't want to go for it this time. We know Dance can get aggressive when he needs to, but he's also very conservative at times like this when there's no major need to go racing hard. And he'll know that Danson's back there, but that's another mistake from Dance. Bowls a big wide at Murray's corner. And that allows Faulkner right onto his rear bumper. Welcome back, Reese, from your latest excursion.
Yes, indeed. Excursion into blue screen land. Thank God I'm getting this PC replaced soon. So, Matt Danson up on Benjamin Faulkner here. And the straight line speed is still there for Matt Danson, despite that damage he sustained. Trying up the inside into Griffins, nothing's going to happen there. If you're off the racing line coming into there, you've really got to have a lot of confidence in how stable your car is through the middle of the turn, and we already know that that Altus car is a little less stable than others out there. Danson's going to have to stay behind here across the top and wait for another opportunity down Conrod Straight. Certainly an opportunity for him to get some big points here as Falconer gets into the wall.
He might have, or he might have just driven around it. That was really close for Faulkner, finding the edge of the track limits. And they just drove by Shane Best as well, who was pulled off to the side in one of the escape roads on the exit of the cutting. He was given permission to tow, so we won't have a safety car as of yet in this race with Stay Green. A safety car will be disastrous for Preston. Right now, he's got that big buffer. But if we go yellow, Yeaman will close up, Hins will close up, and I think Danson would be back in with a shot of winning from 6th place, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly right, and we saw on the slow-mo there just how close it was for Benjamin Faulkner. I think he might just have avoided getting into the wall, but getting vibes of Senna at Monaco, where it seems like he'd drive through the walls. Meanwhile, Scott Stevens and Jaden Mollenhauer getting very frisky into the braking zone for the chase. Mollenhauer leaving Stevens just enough room there on the entry, and Scott is by into the braking zone, also seeing an opportunity as Matty Jones, but he's not going to be able to get it done there on Mollenhauer. But Scott Stevens all the way through, and now his next aim is going to try and minimise that gap to Matt Danson. But as it stands, there's quite the gap ahead with 7 laps to go, and unless something happens to the drivers in front of him, Scott Stevens might have to accept that as his finishing position. Not accepted, though, is the position for Matty Jones. Makes his way through on Jaden Mollenhauer at Hell Corner. Pretty textbook move there. Oh, Riley Preston's around! Oh, no! And that's on the exit of Griffins. Something's gone very wrong for our championship leader. My God. It's all gone south for Riley Preston after being in the lead over 5 seconds over Daniel Yeaman. What on earth has gone on here? We'll check out on the Virtual Racing School replay, and oh, he just got into the wall on the exit, and where the wall juts out when the escape road comes onto the track. That is all she wrote. Here's the onboard.
Just pushed it too hard through Griffin's Bend. The car washed out on the exit. He kissed the fence. On the left, it drags him further to the left, and then wham.
Oh, that is so painful to watch. And imagine how painful it must be for Riley Preston in that cockpit. You know, he knew that he was doing a good job, and he's still stopped out there on track. The safety car has been called. And, oh my goodness, could this be no points at all for Riley Preston in race 2 here at Mount Panorama? I know that he and Thomas Hins were joking a little bit earlier about how, well, you know, Riley's just too quick, Hinsey said. There's no way I can make up that gap at the end of the season. Well, tell you what.
It was a psych out. It worked. I told you. It was money games.
All right. So say you. We'll see then. But the safety car out of the pits and waiting to pick up our leader, which is now Daniel Yeaman.
Danson's pitting.
Oh. Okay. Interesting decision. Obviously, he is carrying a lot of damage. Not much, but probably enough that it affects his straight line speed. Might as well get it repaired.
Yeaman's going to be leading this race, and I'm not convinced Yeaman's got the outright pace to hold off Kinsey and Dance, or a full capability Matt Danson if he gets enough of that damage repaired. Now the issue for Danson is doing this is going to drop him right back down the order, and he was looking quick enough, wasn't he? Even with that damage, running around in what would have been 5th place on the restart. So I don't know if this is the right call from Matt. He's going to end up restarting about 15th. And there's only going to be 5 laps to go.
Well,
so
I guess
it's an aggressive call.
I was going to say, I guess he'll be hoping that with the car fixed, his straight line speed will be back up to its regular standard, and he'll just be able to jet by people on Conrod. But again, Bathurst being Bathurst, there's no guarantee of anything at this place. Matt Danson out of the box, and It's looking like he should be able to catch back up to the rest of the field here. Simon Mazzomo also in the pits repairing a bit of damage, I believe. And the field coming to a stable pace here through Reed, Sulman up to McPhillamy. This is going to be another interesting finish here, Ryan. We saw pretty much the same thing happen last race. We're going to get a restart here with 5 laps to go. The lights are off on the pace car, and it's going to be the same story as before, but the players on the stage are very different.
Well, except for Cameron Dance, he's in 3rd again. Hinsey, Yeaman ahead of him. Hinsey in a crash while running 5th at the end of race 1.
With Yeaman, I might add.
Oh, yes. Benjamin Faulkner, what can he do in 4th? Matt Danson will be back there in a position just outside the top 10. Showing us 12th right now. A lot of work for him to do. He'll have fresh tyres. He'll have a mostly repaired car. There's still a little bit of damage, but it's not as bad as it was. But those fresher tyres as well, that's going to be some sort of advantage. And through the mountain section where he was at a bit of a lesser pace than his rivals in race 1, that could certainly help him out as that Porsche came in, pulls away. 5 laps sprint. The end of this one.
So, the field comes under the control of Daniel Yeaman, and Cameron Dance not electing to stay in line there. He's maybe a bit more of the mind games that we're talking about here, trying to psych out Hinsey and Yeaman. Cameron wants double wins here tonight at Mount Panorama. Can he get it? Hinsey's leaving a little bit of a gap to Yeaman out of the chase, but should catch up to him by the time they get to Murray's. Now, Danson and... oh, yeah, there we go. I was about to say, Daniel Yeaman has gone very early this time. That was a bit unexpected, but he's up to racing speed as they come through Murray's corner, trying to get the gap he needs over Thomas Hinds, who has Cameron Dance all over the back of him as we are green again at Mount Panorama. 5 laps to go for the flat sixes. Who's going to come out on top? Right now, Daniel Yeaman is doing everything he needs to stay in the lead, but Thomas Hinds and Cameron Dance both got a very good exit out of Hell Corner. Matt Danson already on the charge here, trying to make up positions. He's behind Isaac Edwards. We're on board with Yeaman. Hinsey, a little bit of a look up the inside into Griffin's Bend, but it's not enough to break Daniel.
And so we are at it again. An all-out fight at the front of the field with nothing to separate them, with just a handful of laps remaining. This time it's Yeaman, Hinds and Dance. Faulkner just a little way off the back of them, not immediately going with them on this restart. And Danson pulling off an exceptional move under the tree on Isaac Edwards, charging hard and not waiting around, making moves where not many of them thought that was going to be possible.
On board with Scott Stevens, back down into 5th place now as the top 3 nearly come together just up ahead through Forest Elbow. Dance behind Hinds and well within the draft now. He's still carrying that damage from before. Let's see if it affects him. Dance, with his spin, has been given a lifeline with the safety car period for Riley Preston. He's going to try the chase on Thomas Hinds. Nope, lifts off. Does he go for the inside? Yes, he does, but is he far up enough? No. There's no overlap. Hinsey had the right to the corner, and he takes it once again. So another stalemate between 2nd and 3rd.
And then there were 4 laps, and Faulkner just sticking with them. 4 cars, 4 laps. Flat sixes at Bathurst putting on one hell of a show. Scott Stevens not that far away either. 1.7 seconds across your top 5 at the line that time on the restart. Danson up to 10th already, but he's 6.9 seconds back.
Oh, yeah.
Yeaman trying to shake that toe.
Yeah, it's going to be tough for Danson to make up much time from here on in now that everyone else is up to racing speed, but Hinsey and Yeaman getting very comfortable with each other out there. Coming into the cutting is, oh, that's a mistake from Cameron Dance. Benjamin Faulkner is going to slide on by him there on the exit. Looked like maybe just a little lock-up in the rears, sent the rear end sliding for Cameron Dance. So he is now out of that battle for the top three, stuck behind Benjamin Faulkner across the top. This is the opposite of what he wanted.
He got into the back of Hinsey as well. Somehow, Hinsey's car wasn't unsettled by it. If it was, he did a very good job of disguising that. And now there's a gap between the top two and the battle for third. Dance all over the back of Faulkner, though. Will he go for one at Forest Elbow? No, he's going to sit back and set himself up for the exit here, which is exactly what Hinsey did as well. Dance is going for a move on Hender. They make a bit of contact. P8 now from Matt Danson.
Yeah. Danson indeed by. And he does.
Hins.
Oh, yes. Is it going to happen here into the braking zone for the chase around the outside of Daniel Yeaman? Oh, no. Oh, Faulkner. My goodness. That was a huge smash. Was Cameron Dance involved in that? He was. So that's going to be a good time to queue up the virtual racing school replay. Let's see what happened. Cameron Dance not having a great race too here. Neither is Benjamin Faulkner. And that looks like just the two of them coming together in the braking zone. Dance was alongside Faulkner. And I guess they just got sucked into each other.
Well, he was never alongside Faulkner, but I think Faulkner sort of just edged across into Dance's line, which is, you know, moving under brakes. And as a result, Dance committed to his brake point, couldn't brake any harder, and clattered into the back of Faulkner. So that's why we don't move under brakes.
Indeed. But Cameron Dance ends up coming away from that with minimal injury to his car or his pride. He stays in third. Scott Stevens and Matty Jones right behind him, and these two are battling incredibly hard for fourth and fifth. Certainly been a good day for some of the drivers that run in the midfield in this series to really show what they can do. Because, as I've said before, Bathurst all about survival. Matt Danson up into 6th place now. He has made his way past Jaden Mollenhauer as the battle for the lead continues. Matt Danson, I don't think, is going to get into the podium positions unless there's a mistake from someone up ahead. But oh dear, Mark Noble in the wall, and that's at McPhillamy Park. And, well, unfortunately, not quite able to get the car turned to avoid the wall a second time. But we ride on board with Thomas Hins. We stay green. No stricken cars out there on track. How's the draft here for the number 52, who's been battling with Riley Preston for the championship lead? What a run Thomas Hins has here. Going to draw up alongside into the chase. Yeaman gives him the room, but he has the inside for the left-hander. Hinsey will have to give him room here. Yeaman pushing hard, almost gets into Hins, but they leave each other just a car's width of space. It's going to continue down to Murray's corner. Will Daniel Yeaman be able to hold on to this lead from Thomas Hins? Both see him coming. Cameron Dance taking advantage here. He's right with them once again. That's what happens when you run side by side for a few corners at a time. You give your rivals a chance. Hinsey's in the lead coming into Hell Corner, but Yeaman's going to force the issue once again. Hinsey goes wide over the curb. They almost make contact. Just enough room left on the right-hand side for Daniel Yeaman, and Cameron Dance has nowhere to go. What's going to happen at Griffin's?
Side by side from the chase all the way up to Griffin's Bend we go, holding each other up dramatically, giving away chunks of time. Hinsey on the inside, finally able to clear Yeaman, who slides his way out of the corner. Now Dance trying to clear him as well. He's just going to do that into the cutting, and Yeaman is back to third, trying to fight back into the cutting though, but he can't do it. Dance applies the power. So Hins from Dance from Yeaman, the new top 3 order. What that has done though is allowed Scott Stevens to close up, Matty Jones, and Matt Danson. A lap and a half left to go. About 4 seconds back now.
Let's see how much time he can make up. in that 1.5 laps. If the battling continues like this, Danson might be onto the back of this train. I can just see him in the background on my end, but Cameron Dance now back up into second. Yeaman was leading the race at this time last lap, now into third. And it's going to be between Cameron Dance and Thomas Hinz for the win at this point, I think. Hinsey locks up a bit into Forest Elbow, but he keeps it nice and tight to the inside. Usually when someone locks up into there, they go straight on, but Hinsey has somehow managed to get that thing out of the corner very nicely. And Cameron Dance a bit too far back to take full advantage of the draft. Not going to be able to draw up alongside into the chase, but he's still in it. This battle is going to go to the wire here for the top positions, and Dance just moving around in the braking zone.
Hinsey's deep.
Oh, he is.
Oh, just pulled it up in time. Dance is looking the quicker driver right now. He's closed right up to him. And the pressure is all on right now. Into this final lap we go. Once again, nothing between the leaders. And Hinsey immediately moving across to cover off the inside. And back again. Careful there, Hinsey. You can't move more than once. Out of hell corner. Slow exit for Hinsey. Protecting the inside. Dance has to go to his left. That's going to be the outside route for Griffin's Bend. We know there's no grip there, but he's got a very good run. How brave does Dance want to be? This is going to be pretty treacherous here for Cameron Dance. On the outside of Griffin's Bend. He can't hold it there. He slides his way through the corner. Now Yeaman wants to buy in.
They're going to be side by side, just about into the cutting, and Dance just had to stay tight to give Yeaman a bit of room there. That has allowed them to stay in touch with Thomas Hinz here across the top. From this point on, it's going to be all about the exit from Forest Elbow as long as they can survive the top of the mountain. Hinz, Dance, Yeaman, all in a line here coming through to McPhillamy. Matt Danson is continuing to make up time as Scott Stevens and Jaden and Matty Jones, coming together through McPhillamy, side by side into the S's. What a battle that is. Matt Danson right in it now. This could potentially be make or break for the Altus Esports driver, but back up to the top three. Thomas Hinz, nice and easy, into Forest Elbow. Nail the throttle, that's what you got to do. Dance, unfortunately, did the same, and this is going to be a slipstream battle down Conrod Straight on the final lap of the flat sixes here at Bathurst. Cameron Dance is going to pull out as they come through the dip. Oh, bit of contact between the two of them. Hinsey flashing the lights. He lost a bit of pace from that. Is he going to come back at him through the chase? Cameron Dance on the racing line. Hinsey might try to squeeze through. He gains a bit in the braking zone. He locks up, he spins around, and Dance is spun. Daniel Yeaman goes through on the grass. Daniel Yeaman is going to win flat sixes here at Mount Panorama after the two leaders come together for the second race in a row. My goodness, and Scott Stevens is going to finish second.
Anton on the podium.
Oh, what a finish. I don't know what to say, Ryan.
Well, Hinsey was moaning about being taken out in race one, and he's thrown it in too deep and taken out Dance in race two. It's a bit too aggressive into the chase. Dance had cleared him completely. Hinz threw it in from behind the rear bumper of Cameron Dance, who was already braking on the limit, and he just could not pull that car up in time. The rear end got away from him, and he slid into him. Yeaman through the grass. Lucky not to have a slowdown from that, Yeaman. If he did get one, it cleared itself. I thought for a moment that Stevens might steal it if Yeaman did have a slowdown. But Daniel Yeaman, for the second time in as many races, it's the man in third that steals it on the final lap.
My goodness, and Matt Danson was in exactly the right place as well. Wasn't able to make it past Scott Stevens, but still holding on for a fine third place after getting taken out of the contention in race one. So there are your results. By a second, it is Daniel Yeaman from Scott Stevens. Danson, Jones and Dance rounding out the top five. Jaden Mollenhauer comes home in sixth with Brett Hender making it 2 Fusion Sim Racing cars in the top 10. Good result for that team after race one didn't quite go their way. Thomas Hinz, well, what could have been battling for the win, but crosses the line in eighth after making a mistake at the chase. taking out Cameron Dance. Liam Hall and Adam Moore round out the top 10.
Isaac Edwards, home in 11th from 24th on the grid. That's a great drive from him, ahead of Mark Noble. Lachlan Mansell, 13th. Anthony Green, the last car on the lead lap. And then Mizomo, Courtney, Faulkner, Preston, Shane Best, Luke Swan, Sean Thompson, all retirements from the race.
Yeah, certainly Mount Panorama, the scene of a lot of heartbreak, as this track tends to be. But we can go now into the driver interviews, and looks like first up we have got second place in the booth. Ryan, you want to have a chat to Scott Stevens?
Yeah, Scott. Congratulations on second place. I'm trying to figure out how you got there. How did you get there on the last lap?
It's called me Scott Bradbury, I think is the word. Is I think the answer we're looking for. Wow. I think the last time I was in the SimSpeed comms box was about a Scots Bathurst when we came second. So this is all a little bit weird. Yeah, opening got a really good start, like really, really good. Thing just launched off the line, but then cold tyres caught me out at Forest Elbow and just ran completely wide. And then it was kind of just trying to maintain, and in the day, man, people just fell away in front of me and positions gained.
It looked like a lot of fun out there. There was some awesome battles right throughout the order. And even on that last lap, despite the action in front of you, you were having an absolute cracking fight with Matty Jones as well. What was your mindset there, trying to fend him off? You even made a bit of contact into McPhillamy Park, I think, as well.
Yeah, I knew I had front end damage, so my straight line speed was down. And I knew Matt seemed really strong across the top. And I think he played a smart game and was just kind of waiting for those last couple of laps. And so I knew if I could maintain position up to turn 2, I could kind of keep him behind as long as I didn't run wide. And then I ran kind of wide at the grate, and I couldn't get on the gas, and he kind of nipped up the inside a little bit. And yeah, we had a 0x at McPhillamy, but managed to get through. And then also Matt was coming behind, and he'd pitted for fresh tyres. So he had a heap of steam coming in at the last, couple of laps. And I was like, hopefully he'll catch up. That'll distract Matty. And then, yeah, the rest is kind of history. Got a good exit out of the elbow, and then, yeah, guys just obviously ran wide and whatnot at the chase. But, yeah, awesome battle. Like a really good competitive field. It was good fun, good racing.
Are you going to be running in the 1000 on Sunday?
No. It's only the supports for me and the FSR guys at the moment. And who knows, next year we'll see what's going on. But yeah, at this stage, just the support categories for the weekend.
Alrighty. Well, who do you want to thank for helping you get it done today?
Obviously the team, huge effort again this week after the Phillip Island round where we scored the 1-2. So another solid results for the team and another podium, which is really, really good. And we've just been working really, really well together at the moment on setups and that. So that's really good to see. But to our sponsors, simrigs.com, their support, Grid Engineering for all their input, Cyconic Solutions, Eclipse Signage, and Daryl Carter Plastering.
Thank you very much, Scott. Hopefully we'll see you in the booth again tomorrow.
Thanks, gents.
Of course, Scott Stevens finishing second in a previous V8SCOPS Bathurst 1000 with Heath Brennan, and it was in similar circumstances. They were able to take advantage of basically a stuff up from the leaders, to put things lightly. Next up, I think we can go to our race winner for race 2. Daniel Yeaman joins us in the commentary box. Well, Daniel, that's one way to take the win over the grass at the Chase.
Yeah, it's probably a good way to put it, Reese. Didn't have the raw pace tonight of, say, Riley and Cam and Matt. And Hinsey was more than enough of a match for me. Regrettably, going back to race 1 earlier tonight, took a gamble on the move at the cutting. Thought I cleared him on exit, but not quite. So we'll wait and see what the stewards say about that, and take that into account for future races. And hopefully, if a situation comes up like that again, we adapt and to prevent that from happening again. But and then thought I'd lost it at the end of the second race. Pretty rough exit out of the elbow on that last one. But then just watched the rear end of Hinsey's car just get loose, and I knew it was back on again. But I was in pretty hot to the chase all the same, and so actually, all things considered, I was probably close to having to bail without dodging Cam and Hinsey. But in the end, that happened to be the safe option and the only option really to walk away with that one intact and get lucky to claim the checkered flag on that one tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. But still, a result is a result. And just like at Donington Park, you've come away with another race win in this series. Good points haul. And certainly, I don't know if the championship is foremost in your mind, but that points haul will certainly help you in the last round or so.
It will, yeah. Unfortunately, choosing to join the series after we'd gone through rounds 1 and 2, or at least... Correction, I joined the series when this was originally announced, but clashing commitments meant missed rounds 1 and 2. So don't believe I'm in the title fight, given that the other protagonists in that one there have all been finishing up the front for the most part. So it's more about just a place to test myself and see where I'm at against some of the best guys here down under, and just making sure, above all else, hopefully for the rest of the season here, keep the nose clean. It looks like I've got pace for top 5, maybe a podium, and then just be in the right place at the right time if things do go south for some of the other guys on track.
As happened today. Well, final question, Daniel. Are we going to expect you to take further part in activities this weekend, or is this it for you?
No, I'm certainly busy this weekend, fulfilling co-driver duties on Sunday. All things are looking positive for the 862 drop bear Mustang to be in for qualifying tomorrow. I'll leave that in my more capable teammates' hands and SCOPS regular Mr. Corey McFarlane. But working hard to get the race pace up to scratch and at least be able to turn a consistent stint of laps and hopefully not drop the car too far back from where Corey can put the car during race pace and qualifying.
Well, we'll be keeping a close eye on that over the rest of the weekend. Before we let you go, Daniel, anyone you'd like to thank from your garage?
Yep, big thanks to the Drop Bear Motorsport team and the boys. Got a couple of them in Discord with me tonight, so thanks for their encouragement and support. And to all the team partners, Encosi Engineering Solutions, Sam Blacklock Media, Hybrid Racing Simulations, and Revolution Race Gear. A big thanks to all of them for coming on board the car. And hopefully, finish off the rest of this Flat Sixes Championship and sign off the 991 in a good way.
Indeed. It would be really good to have a great send-off for that car. Daniel Yeaman of Drop Bear Motorsport, winner of race 2. Next up, I think probably a good idea to grab Matt Danson here, Ryan. Your mic is muted, so I will take this interview. Matt Danson, obviously you had the pace to win tonight, but it didn't quite go your way.
Yeah, I mean, it was going my way until the last lap. But probably put myself in that situation a little bit just by not adjusting on the car during the races I should have, and made myself a little bit compromised. But I mean, didn't really think the move was on, but it is what it is. It's kind of frustrating, but what can you do?
Yeah, well, that's what happens, I guess, when two great drivers such as yourself and Riley Preston clash at a place like Bathurst. And I guess you had your first race in this series at Imola, which is a challenging enough track, but then to come here and in a Porsche and perform as you did, the Altus car we noticed had quite good straight line speed. So did you trim it out?
We just put those oval the oval techniques to work and brought the engine over from that one, so we were flying. But I don't know. It was like I had DRS. I was just killing it. But I think for me, that probably, like I said, was kind of maybe my undoing as well, because I was trying to just hold it together. Obviously, like you said, Riley is really good, so I was trying to just be solid and not destroy my tires in the squiggly bits, and I rather than pressing on, maybe I would have been wiser to just try and press on and see if I could get away at all. I don't know, but and then those last couple of laps, I was definitely feeling the heat. So the car, like you said, the car was flying. It was a lot of fun. Would have been nice to have got the win, but what can you do? I really wanted the bragging rights. I wanted to tell Jordan and Cooper that I was the superior Porsche driver, but now I can't.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be opportunities further down the line, Matt. And just touch on race 2 briefly. Didn't get off to the best start. You were involved in the incident further towards the rear of the field, but that safety car, very well timed for you. You came in, got some repairs done, fresh tyres, and you were flying again at the end.
Yeah, T1 was funny. I sort of thought we'll just see what it gives us, and then just work our way through. And then all of a sudden, 2 cars kind of separated, and there was just one parked in the middle of the track. And I think I did a reasonable job not to be destroyed. But then I was digging. But when the safety car came out, I kind of thought I can sit with these guys and just hope that maybe I've got enough speed. I didn't know how bad the damage was. I can either just do that or come in and get some tires and see if we can just really dig. And it was close. If I had just if I got through some of those cars a little bit quicker, I might have been there, because I mean it ended up being just over a second with all the sort of kerfuffling. So it was certainly entertaining. Would have been nice to have been able to start at the front for the second one, but yeah, I mean it's cool just to obviously build experience on the road side. I've still got a long way to go, but I feel like it's slowly sort of clicking, and I'm learning little bits here and there. And I mean, a series like this one, it was heaps of fun. Like you said, Imola and here was awesome.
Well, you've still got the whole weekend ahead of you with your co-driver duties for this weekend, so we'll let you go, Matt, and let you continue your preparations for that. But before that, who would you like to thank over at Altus Esports?
Well, we've actually got a special livery as well for this race, which should be released soon. It's a very unique Altus livery. So obviously, yeah, shout out Logitech G, Virtual Racing School, Cube Controls, Racetech Seats, Owned Live, Sam Blacklock Media, all you guys for putting this on. Like I said, I mean, I've been at 2 events so far, and it's been an absolute ball. So hopefully I'll be able to come to more and actually close it out and get the dubs.
We shall see. That's Matt Danson from Altus Esports, podium in race 2. And I think we'll be able to fit in Cameron Dance before we wrap for the night. G'day, Cam. Oh, man. It was a night of ups and downs for you, taking the win in the first race thanks to the leaders coming together. But in race 2, you were part of that lead pack that came together.
Yeah, it was a little bit unfortunate what happened in race 2. I mean, hard racing at the end of the day. Like, those final 3 laps are absolutely awesome, man. Like, for us 3 to just go toe-to-toe the entire time and just pretty much go down to what was effectively the last 2 turns to settle the win, it was really, really cool. But yeah, I can't complain at the end of the day with how good the battle was. But yeah, really, really good race. One, just a lot of patience, and I knew that those 2 were going to come together at some point based on the speed differentials between Riley and Matt over the top of the mountains. So it was just going to be a matter of when rather than if something was going to happen, and who was going to end up winning that race just entirely dependent on what was going to happen in terms of who went where and that sort of stuff, and that little kerfuffle that ended up happening between those 2. So yeah, in the end it was me that pulled the Bradbury out.
Yes, of course. And that's still a pretty good points haul from the night all up. Still managed to cross the line 5th in race 2. So all up, I guess, a few things to probably look back on from this weekend, but largely a good night for you.
Yeah, 100%. It's been a really, really good night in general for me, to be honest. So we've had pace all season and all year so far, but there's just been cases where it's just been rotten luck for us. So it's been an up and down season, but it's finally good to get one on the board and get a podium on the board as well. So we'll keep playing away at these final few rounds and see where we end up in the championship. But we'll have to see what happens.
Can we expect further appearances from you this weekend in the 1000?
Probably not in the SCOPS 1000, to be honest. I've got a little bit too much going on, but I'll be chilling with Mez in the support race tomorrow with him, doing a bit of spotting, and then also doing the official 1000 as well on Saturday, so we'll see how that goes.
Wishing you the best of luck for that, Cam. Before we let you go, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, just first of all, shout out to all the boys at TechSense Fitson Motorsport and Mez for jumping in and having a lob as well, and our partners, TechSense Sensors, Renville Harnesses, Fight CRC, Demon Tweaks, you guys for the awesome broadcast, Sim3D, Major Garage, all the boys from OSR for putting on the awesome series, and all the boys for the awesome racing tonight.
Cameron Dance. Win in race 1, 5th in race 2, but it could certainly have been a double victory if things had gone just a little differently. Well, that brings to an end proceedings for tonight, Ryan. What a night of racing in the flat sixes. It's just got me hyped for the rest of the weekend now. I can't believe it. We're at Bathurst. It's the 1000. It's going to be great.
Yeah, we've still got so much more action to come. Tomorrow, the V8, 250 kilometers of racing, and then qualifying. The top 15 shootout, a Legends race in there as well, and then Sunday it's the 8th running of the V8SCOPS Bathurst 1000, all live here on SimSpeed TV. Make sure you're tuning in.
Indeed, and that's where we're going to wrap things up for this Friday night. It was Cameron Dance and Daniel Yeaman who took the wins here in the Flat Sixes presented by RacingSims.co.nz. My name's Reese Gardner. It was Ryan Jones alongside me, Lockie Mansell jumping in as well in the break, and Jay Kennedy on production as per usual. Thank you very much for your support here at SimSpeed TV and for watching, and we will see you tomorrow for more Bathurst action.
Fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got with the outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to Oh my God! Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, here we go. Oh no! That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?